Mob Boat is discontinued, but Mojang may bring some of these rejected mobs to the official game. Eventually. However, compared to how the winning mobs were treated when put into the game, I feel like their ideas can be expanded on. So, I wanted to share some ideas I had for developing these concepts further. I'll be going over the mobs in order and showing what I think could work for them. Mob A, the barnacle. They spawn in aquifers in caves, with its feeding filament extended to the surface of the water. Contact with any point of the filament will have it grab and drag you into its mouth. You need to hit it for it to let go, and you can kill it for its filament to turn into a grapple sort of thing. But the grapple takes the chest plate slot to use, so you would need to choose between armor, grapple, or eventually elytra. Mob C, the hunger. It buries itself into walls and eats the enchanted armor or tools off of you, then spits out your disenchanted gear. I know, that's horrible, but if you hold a glistening melon, it will eat it from your hand and indirectly tame itself for you. It can then ride on your shoulder and eat the gear off of other mobs and drop them for you. It was inspired by the frog because I didn't like the frog because I thought it was ugly and I wanted to replace it. But I was playing around with ideas and I liked this anteater creature more. And the frog's okay, I guess. Mob D, the wildfire. It was used in Minecraft dungeons, so I won't be covering it. I won't go over the isolager as well for the same reason. Moo Bloom. It's fine, so no changing much. I think flower variants would be nice, and adding the ability to milk it with a bowl to get a random suspicious stew would be cool as well. I also came up with a counterpart for it, the moss sheep. It eats dirt and turns it into moss, and feeding it a flower will change the moss on its body to the corresponding color. Then you can shear it for colored moss. Glare. So I actually have two ideas. One, it spawns in the entrances of caves and can be tamed with an apple, melon slice, beetroot, or sweet berry. It will then follow you around. While in the dark, if it sees a creeper, it will latch onto its head and control it, and use the creeper's explosion to kill hostile mobs. You can also feed it a sapling so it grows leaves of that type of tree that you can then shear for leaf blocks. I think I would rename this version to Leaf Sheep, even though its only similarity to sheep is that you can shear it. Second, it spawns in lush caves and goes to sleep when in light level 0. When it does sleep, it lets off a bit of light, like glowberries. It's a neutral mob, and if hit, will latch onto your head, dealing damage. But if you're wearing a helmet with cursive binding, the glare will get stuck, and you would have a glare on a helmet. It will let off light when you stop moving and have the same effects of mob heads and carved pumpkins. Copper Golem. Honestly, I think both of the golems were lacking quite a bit, so I simply merged their concepts. It can be built with 3 copper blocks, a carved pumpkin, and a copper rod on top. It still wants to press buttons, but you can also give it a dispenser or dropper. If holding a dropper, it will pick up any items and drop them into a random hopper. And if holding a dispenser, it will pick up certain projectiles that can fire at hostile mobs. It still oxidizes, and when frozen, you can replace what it was holding with any block, including decoration blocks. You can also have it wear a carpet like a llama. When hit by lightning, it will deoxidize, but if struck while fully unoxidized, it becomes charged and can walk faster, fire faster, and give thorns damage to whatever hits it, until the effect wears off. Rascal. I don't really have a good idea. Besides, it could steal a tool from your hotbar, and when you catch it, or kill it, I don't care, it drops whatever it stole with added enchants, including enchantments that wouldn't be able to go together normally, and some you can't come up with or find, plus extra loot it collected with the tool, so getting your pickaxe back with some extra ore, or your shovel with flint and gravel, and etc. The extra loot would come in its own bundle. Oh, never mind, that sounds fine. Crab. It's specifically a hermit crab, but can still be found in mangrove swamps. The hermit crab has 4 sizes, and when they grow up, they drop their old shell, making them vulnerable to attacks, but quickly dig up a new shell they find in the sand, or inherit a shell from a larger crab. If it dies in some accidental, tragic way, it will drop its claw that you can use as a weapon that will also enable you to pick up mobs to use them as a shield and throw them. It will also drop its shell that it was wearing that can act like a new kind of horn variant with unique sounds. Penguin. If the turtle has eggs you need to guard, And when the babies grow up, they shed scutes that can be crafted into a helmet. How about you need to help guard the penguin eggs from hostile mobs, and when the babies grow after being hatched, they will shed feathers that can be crafted into a coat that can let you swim faster and keep you from freezing when in powdered snow. And if Mojang ever adds the feature where swimming in cold oceans or traveling during snowstorms gives you freezing, the penguin feathers can also be brewed into a potion of frost resistance. Sniffer. To expand on the plants it finds, when you place a bunch of ancient saplings and other foliage in the specific biome they're dug up in, it starts converting that biome into an ancient biome. The biome can start spawning prehistoric-inspired mobs, along with providing new resources and food options. Fireflies. They're not from a mob vote, but I wanted to mention them anyway. If the problem was having too many individual mobs in one area, then just make the whole group the mob. They live in flower forests and spawn as large firefly swarm, medium firefly swarm, and small firefly swarm. You can catch and release the swarm with a bottle, but they always become a small swarm when caught, and catching fireflies from large and medium swarms will make them smaller respectively. You could maybe also craft them into firefly lights with the bottle of fireflies and glass, and use stained glass for making colored light. Also, including a tinted glass variant if you don't want a light source but like the twinkling effect. Phantom. So for the second end update, just pull them from the overworld and have them spawn at a certain altitude in the end. So you can be attacked while floating from a shulker projectile and while flying with elytra, as they have a reverse dolphin-like effect that lets them fly as fast as you. You can also play a little game where you can ride with the phantom by feeding it chorus fruit. It will hold you while it eats from your hand, and you can direct where it flies until you run out of chorus fruit and it drops you. This idea can also become its own mob respectively. If it's not a phantom recycle, then I don't think they should look the same. Okay, so last night while I was not sleeping, I decided to play around with the tough golem, just see if I could give it a little, I don't know. When I think of tough, I think of a nice decoration block for outdoors and gardens. There's the little guy, he's gonna hold something. Yeah, outside things, so they're supposed to pick up items. What if they could pick up stacks of items, and they could also hold things like pots, maybe? A flower. That's an ugly flower. And when they do have carpet equipped, they get a little matching hat. Like if this was yellow carpet, this would be something that looks like a straw hat. Oh yeah, so outside items. If they could hold stacks of items, what if they could hold flowers and trees, saplings, and things like that and just place them around? They wouldn't take over farming, but maybe you want some random flowers in your garden. And then when it's sleeping, it could do something with the carpet where it holds the carpet over its head like a blanket. And then it looks like a mini table. And then paintings could sit on it like that. Or item frames with maps. Silly sleeping table, baby.